Okay, so the Nakud of the Maamar is to explain why the Torah is given dafka to neshamas lamata. And he explained that the Malachim, when they argued that Torah be given to them, this was they realized that Hashem wants to give it to Mata, to a guf dafka, so we have a guf too. And the mile of our guf is, it doesn't get in the way. It's a tachten, but it's not liable to corrupt. Actually, as an aside, that's not entirely true either, because as we know, when the Malachim came down for extended periods, manifested earthly, they did corrupt. Now, Kaponim, I guess the argument is less likely and less often, quantity, quality. At any rate, so the answer is that no, the Eibishter wants dafke, dirib tachtenim is dafke, a guf gashmi, and there's a whole arichas in that, and then to explain why a neshama is able. And the neshama is able to engage the guf gashmi and elevate it. So the Nakuda is, he explained Yudke Vavke, corresponding to all the levels of existence. Medaber is the Yud, and the first K is Chai, and the Vav is Semeach, and the final Hey is Malchus. And the various parallels to that, including Yud being the Shamas, Hey and Vav, the different levels of Malachim, and Malchus, and the final Hey being the external level of Malchus, Hashem's dibur, which creates existence, bria, the daimon, all the way down to the daimon. So the paradox is that dafke, the daimon, malchus, the external level of malchus, which is dibur, oisius, are rooted in pnimius hachachma, kadmas haseichel. So again, this is a whole sugi in Chassidus, that letters do not devolve down the chain of command as we'd expect them to. There's the idea, there's the feeling, that's ilul v'olul, a clear cause and effect dynamic, and then another cause and effect where either the idea or the feeling, the emotion, then produces the letters by which it communicates it to another. It's not so. The letters exist independent of the idea, of the emotion. In fact, they're rooted in the kadbus haseichel, on Al Rebbe's words, the rotzen. It's and it's not a command, and it's an instantaneous process. Once the rotzen is expressed, the lips will purse, the vowels, the letters will form without a conscious evolutionary process. There's no delay. It's immediate. It comes from the etzem hanefesh, the rotzen, and the letters emerge. And moreover, explained there are letters which in essence are chesed letters and gvura letters, and yet that has nothing to do with the seichel. A seichel will employ all kinds of letters and arrange the letters in different ways to express itself, whether it's a seichel of Shammai or Hillel, gvura or chesed, etc. So all to say that Isis, which is a marshal for daimon, letters are just inanimate containers in which we invest by convention meaning. So it's the world of daimon within the nefesh. But where is it rooted? It's rooted dafke in pnimius hachachma, and that's where neshamas come from. So therefore, neshamas, that's the answer. Dafke neshamas have the ability to be able to engage the daimon, this world, and elevate it because of their intrinsic connection to this world. In simple language, or a different language, now simple, this would be even a different language, it means that since the neshamas express the pnimius hakavana of atzmos, and the pnimius hakavana is dirib tachtenim, therefore they're intrinsically bound up with the tachten. The neshama is destined to come to the tachten, and the tachten is intrinsically bound with it, like the oisius are bound with the kadmas haseichel. Further, hasbara now coming in ois dalet. All right. will be in Ma'alis Nishmas Adam al Nishmas Malachim. Again, to explain the mile of the neshama of a person, a human being, over Malachim. Hinin is Boreal, the Malachim Shashem Hashem Alikim. Malachim come from Hashem Alikim, it's part of the creation. The neshama Shashem Hashem Havaya. And in more detail, Hashem Havaya Gufa, it's Yud, and you know it's Yud Gufa, not Chachma as it as a Shaykhis Tabina, but Pnimis HaChachma, Kadmas HaSeichel, Rotzen, for our purposes, they're all one essential state, Pnimistic essential state of the Nefesh, or Velikus, Koitze Shel Yud. But Bechlolos, they come from Shem Havaya. We also mentioned there's two levels, the Shem Havaya, we say in the Yigim Mesarachu, Hashem, Hashem, twice. Havaya, Havaya, because there's two levels of Havaya. There's Havaya's creator, the lower level, and then the Shem Havaya, the transcendent, more essential expression of Shem Havaya. At any rate, so now Alikim Shem Havaya. So this was an interesting thing that was observed. It was stated earlier. We don't find that the Nevi'im describe the song of Neshamas, even though all Aliyah happens through song, which is expression of longing and ascent. If they don't describe it, so we'll understand with further detail now that the Shirus of Malachim, the song of Malachim of angels, Nishmas Basnei HaNavi. The Navi hears it, records it, describes it. But doesn't describe the song of the Neshamas. What he's going to say basically is that that Malachim, because they root in Shem Elikim, which is Kelim, so there's noise. Now, what this means, Baruch Nis, we'll have to understand at the end. Let's just get the technicality of it, the geographical, Kabbalistic, technical explanation here. There's Kelim. Kelim, you hear? Instruments, you hear? But the Neshamas, there's no Kelim. It's the pure Neshama itself, the Kol Pnima, the inner cry. Which means, not being heard means there's no outsider in this world. This is a pnimistic world of Enyad Mulvadai, and it's can't be recorded or heard. Because in that world, everything else is bottled b'mitzias. There's no recorder. There's no one to record it in this independent, I'm outside of this, I'm going to tell you what happened. If you hear it, then you are one with it. Because it's a revelation of the exclusivity, the pnimius of Elikus, which is everything is Elikus, or everything is thoroughly bottled. Everything else is totally bottled. He doesn't use this oasis in the Maimer, but it seems this is what it means. So let's go further in the Maimer, the explanation. So Malachim come from Shem Elikim. What Shem Elikim is Kelim. Kelim, Medida Vakbola, Kelim, by definition, contain. Mashenka and Neshama, Shoshim, Shem Havaya. What's Shem Havaya? Bechinas Ha'idus. That's revelation. Va'idus Einam, Medida Vakbola, light per se is not contained. It has no limit, and moreover, even a higher dargin oid, v'ad shelapamim mavur, sometimes in Chassidus, oid is described as pshutim. And pshutim means divested of any kind of tzir, because you can have a relative tzir that is limitless, bligvul chesed, bligvul gvura, that is possible. It's a particular giloi oid, but it's boundless. But pshutim means that oid in its purest form is divested of any kind of tzir. Begashmis, you can have a colored light that projects theoretically endlessly, or that spreads endlessly, but it's still a color. It's still some kind of filter, not much a keli, but some kind of filter. But then the etzem ha'or is pashut. It's actually beyond light altogether. So at any rate, for Gamma, so that's what's in the Nekudah. The Nekudah is that the Oyer, unlike the Keli, is formless and truly infinite. That's where the Neshamas come from. Now, what about the following fact? Elsewhere we learned that the Neshamas do come from Kelim. So as we explained yesterday, without repeating the whole arichas, that's a maila. Because what here by kelim, here we mean the koyach hagvul. As he goes on to say, how do you do it? When we say keli, we don't mean the hagbola, the limitation of keli. We mean the mile of the keli, the ability for the neshama to express itself in finite ways, like the shleimus of atzmos. Gvul and bli gvul are two equal expressions, and by divine design, from our perspective, koyach hagvul is even a deeper expression. Again, as we see, for a person to contain himself is a great investure than to express himself, even though there's no gilui to the outsider. Now, again, it's all b'shav and mamish, but Hashem has made this system because the whole kavan is to make it tachten. So there has to be a hierarchy. At the highest level is a hierarchy of higher and lower, because the whole point is to make it lower. So this whole high and lower dynamic begins at the most sublime levels in paradoxical ways. Gvul is less, but Gvul is deeper. Yeah, so to say now, what he's saying is, some arichas is coming now, that the neshamas hashaychus that they come from kelim too, but not the akbol of keli, the mile of the keli, the mile of the ability for the neshama to engage and express itself in Gvul, in finitude. Pnimis hakeli. As he goes on to say, the hefresh, let's look at the physical keli. There's the inner part of the keli, there's the external part of the keli. We see this even in a physical vessel down here in our world. The inner part, here's my keli. The inner part of the keli is connected with the mashke that's in it. I'm drinking the coffee. I can't drink the coffee without the keli. So the inside part of the vessel is connected with the mashke, with the whole objective here, with the essence of what this keli is all about. But the outside part of the keli, so the inner wall makes a division between the liquid in it and the chitzonius hakeli. So in other words, the chitzonius hakeli is no direct shaykhis to the liquid that is in the keli, to the etzem, for which the keli exists to begin with. The outside doesn't. All it does is express limitation. Of course, it's functional. You don't have it. The inside will produce an outside, and outside only exists because there's an inside. But in the experiential sense, I'm holding the cup. What I want is the coffee. The coffee is inside the cup. So it's the inner walls of the keli that contain the coffee. The gum, furthermore, further gashmistik. So physical keli behave this way because they devolve from the pnimis of what beruchnis, what a keli is, and its various dimensions. Or it's two dimensions we're living now, chitzonius and pnimis. Gamma, furthermore, kolosin chitzonius hakeli ubechdei l'habis hamashke l'makim sheloitze. The chitzonius hakeli is all about the outside. It's to bring the liquid to where I want. So I hold it by the cup and I hold it by the outside and I bring it here. So that's mamish for the zulas. It's all to move it from one place to another. It's all for the purposes of Gilui. Whereas the Pnimius HaKeli, it isn't about projection outside, it's about the mashke itself. It's about the containment of the mashke itself. Again, that's the chiluk. It's koyach hagvul, as it's the shleimus of the Eibishter. And then there's koyach hagvul that allows for and relates to otherness and produces otherness and outside and levels and distance and so on. Clear? What kind of clear? Oh, I didn't see you just joined us. Mandel, Yossi, Shalom Aleichem. Sid, good to see you all. Mercedes Nefesh at this, I won't say ungodly hour, it's a very godly hour. But at this early hour. Welcome back. So I know I didn't send you the mind, but you have, it's B'shah Shalom Moishe Lemorim, Tavshin Chaf Aleph. Shavuos morning, Tavshin Chaf Aleph. I did post it on the the text, but maybe Mendel, you have it? You do? Oh, okay. Yossi, you have it? You're getting it. Okay, continuing now. So this was now a more sublime level of Keli with the human body. Let's see. Now on a more refined level, more subtle level, the Kelim within the person, physical body. And these are the limbs they identify, I would presume, also the Chetzonis and the Pnimis. The Pnimis Keli, you can't compare the external dimension of the Keli, of a particular Keli of the Guf, to its Pnimis. Let's illustrate this. The Keli of the brain. The external dimension of intellect its function is to express this, to affect to an other. So first of all, any kind of ashpa means already external. The tavna de libele kasve inshi. So Gemara, it's talking a bit about this, the Sofrim, the scribes that record the words of the Bezdin. So the context there is that since the Gemara says, since the scribes don't record the inner reasoning that's going on in the mind of the Chacham, so therefore when paskening the din at the end, so the Gemara is saying the din has to be paskened, the final ruling is a direct consequence of the engagement of the Chacham right now. Because if you write down what he says, to the next day, you tell him, well, you said this and this, he may forget himself the reasoning of yesterday. It's not written in the words. And because he himself doesn't remember his own reasoning properly, and therefore the final ruling may be different. If I'm not mistaken. So therefore in their deliberations, the ruling has to be behemshich to the deliberations, not the next day. Of course, a court case can continue for many days, but the deliberations must begin again. And the reason, because tavna means the teichen, the inner. The person cannot write even, or it's not given to write but the heart feels. It means the pneumistic considerations. So all to say that any hashpa is chitzonius. It takes 40 years for the Talmud to extract the pnimis hakavona in his master's teachings, in his master's words. And this is a master that was obviously, it's not in Yiddish nicht gesalvet. He's not not miserly, but not withholding words because he doesn't want to use them. Let the student figure it out. He's teaching and teaching and teaching. Nonetheless, the true master and the true Talmud, it's 40 years before in these words the real nuance of the Rav is grasped. And only after 40 years, it's when he himself, the Talmud, develops his own seichel, then he's able to appreciate that the seichel of the Rav. All to say again that the hashpa is chitzonius by definition. And the reason is lefisha klolis in hashpa shem chitzonius hakeli, hashpa, which comes from the most external dimension of the keli of the meich of seichel in this case. Chitzonius bilvad, what it's giving over is only chitzonius. Can't give over the pnimius. Hainahara bilvad, only a reflection. You can't give the etzem in a hashpa chitzonius. Now comes the huge paradox. So in seichel, you can't give the etzem a seichel over. You give the words and more words and more words and more words. And it's all avodah for the makabel to extract the pnimius haseichel. But the seed that the Father gives, shehi, this is Perek Beis in Tanya, whatever the hasbara there is, physically, I don't know, scientifically, but there he says that the tipa comes mipnimius hamayach. Literally, it comes from, travels down, I think he's brought in Chassidus, it travels down through the nervous system, the spinal cord. I can't tell you again what it means, begashmis, but that's what it says there. That the tipa comes from the pnimius of the mayach and devolves. It starts there very ethereal, whatever it is, and then devolves into a tipa. Whatever the stirrings of the brain, the reality is that in order for the process of conception to happen, the brain, of course, has to be active, excited. And it's from that the tipa evolves. But that's mamish the etzem itself. That's why the child is yofa even yofa koyach, ben mekoyach, a child can be even greater than the father because he draws in his etzem and he can express talent and ability that are undeveloped and only in very latent forms within the father. So I even say this. Therefore, the father gives birth to a child that's similar to him or even superior. Unlike the Rav and the Talmud, that by definition it's only a ha'orah, here the father gives the etzem. Because if he's hashpa atzmis, this is hashpa atzmis. So it's an example of the mayach. The mayach hitzonius is seichel. The pnimius hamayach, it's the exact model he's saying. That the pnimius hamayach manifests in a physical thing, which is b'doim alay, which is like the father. That's like the oisius that come from pnimius hachachma. This is one of the big principles of Chassidus, that the deepest level is wedged in the highest level. Let's go a little bit further. Because the pnimius hamayach is bound up with the pnimius oir, it means of the nefesh, of the atzmis of the nefesh itself. The reason why it works down here this way is because that's how the Eibishter made his whole system of divine manifestation. The chitzonius hakeli projects a reflection. But the pnimius hakeli, as we said before, pnimius hakeli expresses the shleimus of Elikus, the keach hagvul. So that's bound up with the etzem, with the pnimius ha'oid. I'm a beginner's etzem ha'oid, she'ein sof, for the very essence itself. Okay, we'll continue. B'ez Hashem on Monday.